Okay, hey folks, welcome back. We've got another tutorial about simple local multiplayer. In this instance, we're going to pick up where we left off with the last tutorial. In the last tutorial, we were able to hit play and we have a single player game that is controlled by mouse and keyboard. And then at any point, someone else can pick up the controller and hit the start button on the Xbox controller and start controlling the other player. So I want to look at, rather than hard coding this in as the buttons, actually setting up some more flexibility. So here's that blueprint that we'd set up, and we're saying gamepad special right. And that's essentially hard coding that only this button will do this thing, and that's not the way that most of the inputs work for Unreal anymore. With the new improved or enhanced input system, there's a lot more flexibility that we can bring to the table. So if you go into your folder, and I'm working in a third-person template, so if I go to the third-person input, you'll see that we've got a file that's here, which is an input mapping context, and then we've got another folder, which is actions. Now, the basic setup for these templates includes jump, it includes look, and it includes move, at least for the third-person template. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at jump, and if I double-click it, that's going to open in the other window, and let's drag that in. So I'm choosing jump because jump is a button that is making something happen, where look and move are both joysticks or mouse, so they're axes that have a value. So when I look at jump and I go under triggers, there are two types of triggers, and it's a pressed and a released. If I was to look at look, you'll see that this is an axis, so it's a value type. It's different. It's better for us to understand jump and then do something like jump is doing. So I'm going to right click in the same folder, and up here at the top I'm going to type in input, and I'm going to create a new input action, and I'm going to name this spawn. And if I really want to be savvy about this, I'm going to call it IA_spawn for input action spawn. I can double click this and it's going to open this up. And right now there are no triggers, so I'm going to add two values, one for pressed and one for released. And so the idea is that it will understand if it's been pressed or if it has been released and which state it is in. So once I have that, I can close both of, well, that's a little glitchy there. Once I have that, I'm going to close it. That's all I need in terms of the input action. And now I'm going to go back to the input folder where I have my input mapping context. And if I double click this, this will open, and this is where all of the mappings are being called. So let's take another look at jump. And this is where you as the developer are assigning a input to correspond to that input action. So we are going to press the plus next to mappings, and we're going to choose our spawn or IA input action spawn, and we're going to look at that, and right now it has no values. So what I can do is, it's specifying keyboard. I could go ahead and find the tab key here. There's another way to do this too, which is if you just click the keyboard, you can hit tab and then it will assign this value as tab. I can also hit the plus, which is going to give me a secondary method of calling this. And instead of using the keyboard, if I click it and then I hit the special right, which on the Xbox is the start button, I'm going to click start button, and it saves this as gamepad special right. There we go. Okay. So now spawn is going to be called when I hit tab, or spawn is going to be called when I hit gamepad special right. Okay, let's just tidy that up. Let's go and make sure that we save it, and then let's jump over to the third person map where I have my blueprint. So now rather than hard coding in gamepad special right, I can actually right click and I can look for my spawn, my IA spawn, or if you've chosen a word that's different than mine, you're having trouble finding it, you should be able to do IA_ and see all of the events that are associated with the input actions that have been programmed. I'm choosing spawn, and I'm going to go ahead and delete the gamepad special write. And now when this is triggered, I'm going to plug it into the branch. Let's compile it, move this out of the way, and let's test that it works. So here's my single player game. I'm running around, it's working fantastic. And then when I hit the start button on my Xbox controller, I now have the ability to run around. Now I can also hit tab, which also should be spawning, but because the way I've coded it, you can only spawn in one player. So let's hit escape. Let's playtest this again. And this time I'm gonna move off that start, and then I'm gonna hit tab on my keyboard. And sure enough, it spawns in a secondary player, which can be controlled with the controller. Now, this is great because it means that you can actually set up a game, scroll out here, you can set up a game that is going to work for someone who has a controller and wants to play with the controller. But as we'll see in some of the next videos, if you want to try and set up a 2-player game that is using just the keyboard, you can also do that. All right, thanks for joining. Let me know if you have any questions or any problems with any of this in the comments, and I'll see if I can get you some answers. Cheers.